Hey guys, it's Sophie from GAINSBYBRAINS and welcome to today's video. This video will be a full day of eating to lose weight because as you may know or as you may not know, I am currently cutting, and cutting is basically the process of decreasing your body fat percentage, the process of trying to lose weight. In order to do so, you need to be in a caloric deficit, and this is when your daily caloric intake is less than what your body needs to maintain its current state, which is why you will lose weight. So that is exactly what this video is showing. So this video has a bit of a different setup compared to my previous what I eat in a days, because I thought it was fun to switch things up a bit, and it also allows me to explain a little bit more about my approach to my cutting diet. I usually make all my meals myself. I usually make them at home and take them with me, for example. I don't eat out very often, especially when I am on a cutting diet, just because you're trying to limit your caloric intake, and that can be quite difficult when you are eating out and the macros aren't available. But since not everybody is able to make all their meals all the time themselves, for example, I decided to film a day where I am not making my meals, so where I am eating out, and I'll show you how I deal with those situations. It is really important to find the balance between enjoying your life, enjoying events or meeting with friends, for example, but also not losing the progress that you've made so far, because that really costs a lot of effort and a lot of time and energy. So in this video I'll give you some tips and some tricks to show you how I deal with those situations where I'm not just at home and making all my meals myself. I actually had a rest day from the gym, and I decided to make an appointment at the hairdresser in the morning at 9 a.m. So that is what I did. I saw my previous video and I was like, I need a haircut. So I made myself an appointment, and I'll talk a little bit about my hair care routine since I got a few questions about it. So if you're not interested, then skip to this part because that will directly show my first meal. But if you're interested in a bit of a hair talk, then just keep on watching. Good morning. I am currently on my way to the hairdresser to get a haircut, obviously. I'm really excited about it, especially for someone else to wash my hair. Don't go to the hairdresser very often. And I'll see you in a second. So for my hair care routine, I wash my hair 2 to 3 times a week, depending on how frequent it needs to be washed. But I try to wash it as less frequent as possible. And whenever I washed it, I blow dry it because that really helps with not frizzing as much. And then I usually straighten it or curl it. And then I'll just leave it as it is for the next couple of days until I wash it again. So my first tip would be to not use heat unless necessary and to not wash your hair unless necessary. So I do use dry shampoo, and I usually use it the day before I wash my hair because then I can still not wash it for 1 extra day. A second tip would be to get your diet under control, because I am a firm believer that whatever you put into your body will translate to the outside, so to your skin and to your hair to a certain extent, obviously. So really take care of yourself diet-wise, and that will show on the outside. So my third tip would be to use a hair mask every now and then, and I always use pure coconut oil. Make sure that you use the pure one, because I used a blend before and that was a disaster, and I walked around with very greasy hair for like 5 days before it was finally washed out. So make sure that you use pure coconut oil. Don't make the same mistake that I did. And I would also recommend you to try it on a Saturday, maybe Saturday evening, and just go to bed with it and then wash it out the next morning if you have nothing planned, just to see how your hair reacts to it. I've also heard some great stories about Olaplex, especially if your hair is bleached, but I have never used it before myself. And then the final thing for me, what made a very big difference, is that I don't dye my hair. I have dyed my hair before. I've had it black and I've also had it beach blonde, which looked kind of yellowish. Both were an accident. I tried to dye my hair very rich brown because I watched The Hills then, I think it was 14, and I saw Audrina with that really nice dark brown hair, so I was like, I need that. So I tried to dye my hair that color as well, and then I used a very fast developing hair dye, but I didn't realize that my hair was very long, so it took me like 1 hour before it was already in, and then I had to wait for 15 minutes, and then when I washed it out my hair was black. So that was not really the look that I was going for, and it also didn't really suit my complexion. So then I decided that I was probably better off with going very blonde. I had the hairdresser put in some highlights, and that lightened the color up pretty well. And then I thought that it was a smart idea to go with a bleach spray. So I use that pretty frequently. And then I also use that before going on a holiday. And there, obviously, the sun is much more existent compared to the Netherlands. So that really, really lightened up my hair until it was like very, very yellowish blonde. I really like a very blonde look on girls, but it doesn't really suit my complexion. So then I was like, maybe I just need to let everything grow out and just rock my own natural hair color, because that probably suits my complexion a bit better. So that was a very long process and I had to grow everything out. So the hairdresser put in some highlights to make it less visible, and then I just had to wait for a few years in order for it to be all grown out. It really helped with the condition of my hair, because especially bleaching it, that really made my hair more frizzy and I had more breakage. I don't think that dyeing it darker really made a difference in terms of my hair health. So my tip would be to dye your hair, or at least to bleach your hair as less frequent as possible. And if you decide to bleach your hair, just let a hairdresser do it, someone who is very experienced with it, and don't use a bleach spray like I did. And if you're bleaching your hair, then using Olaplex might really help you out. So that was my little hair talk. So let's continue with my full day of eating. So at the hairdresser, I had a coffee, and then after the hairdresser, I had my first meal of the day, which was an acai bowl. I just got an acai bowl, or an acai bowl, with some added protein. I really like getting it for breakfast whenever it's a bit warmer outside, so I'm really excited to try it. So what I usually do is I go to my fitness pal and I search for the ingredients separately, and then I add them to my food diary. I usually estimate the portion sizes, and that gets easier as you're more experienced with tracking. But you can also try to look up the dish in general. I know that I'm probably off in terms of macros because I didn't make the dish myself, so I don't know exactly what's in it, but it just gives me some guidance in terms of my macros so that I know that I at least hit my fats and my proteins for that day. Since it was such a nice day in the Netherlands, which rarely happens, I decided to go to Antwerp in Belgium, which makes no sense, but I went there because it's such a nice city and I had to resist the Belgian waffles, but I did, luckily, because they don't fit my macros, unfortunately. So my approach to a diet in general is 80% clean and wholesome foods, minimally processed, and then 20% fun foods, I would say. So usually when I sit outside and just enjoying the sun, then I go for a Coke Zero, no calories, but not necessarily something that is very healthy for you. I took my protein with me just so that I had some extra protein in that day, because getting enough protein in can be quite difficult, especially when you are eating out. I have the vegan protein from Women's Best. I use the vanilla flavor. That is my favorite. As you may know, I am trying to get a bit more plant-based protein sources in, which is why I decided to go for the vegan protein. I usually prefer making it with some coconut milk, some almond milk, and then I throw in some blueberries. That's like one of my favorite snacks, and then just having it with regular water isn't necessarily something that I really enjoy, but I just took it with me and it was just easy. So that is why I decided to just have it with water, but I'd recommend you to have it with coconut milk, almond milk, and with some berries, for example. But just in general, when you're eating out, having a protein shake can really help with hitting your protein. It isn't necessary because you can get plenty of protein through your diet, but sometimes it can be a bit difficult, which is why supplementation can be useful as a supplement to your diet. Then I had a poke bowl, which is one of my favorite things to have. Again, I had to estimate the portion sizes. I knew exactly which ingredient were going in because I was able to pick them myself. So I decided to go for white rice, tuna as a protein source, and then I think I threw in some edamame, some soybeans, some corn, some seaweed, some cucumber, and some avocado. So I estimated that I had 200 grams of white rice, 100 grams of tuna, and then 50 grams per other topping. I just added everything in. That gave me an overview of the macros that I roughly had that day. So then I knew what I had left. When I got home, I decided to make myself some toast with an egg omelette. I made it with spinach, 1 whole egg and 2 egg whites, and then I had 1 slice of high protein bread. So that was my full day of eating to lose weight whenever you are eating out most of the day. I really hope that showing my approach to situations like this, when you're not eating at home or making your meals yourself, that helps you out a little bit, to give you some guidance in how you can approach it. Because again, it's all about balance. You need to, or you want to, enjoy your life and events and hanging out with friends, but you also don't want to lose the progress you've made so far. So I really hope that this video was helpful to you and that you enjoyed watching it. If you don't know it already, I have a Training Tip Tuesday series online where I'll show a tip, or I'll explain a tip regarding training or nutrition every Tuesday. So that will be my upcoming video. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss that video. Again, I really hope that you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you Tuesday. Bye guys.